Alright, so originally I was gonna do something a lot more planned, a lot more reviewy, but, fuck all that. I got some shit to say. Metroid Prime Federation Force, from as far as I can tell, is not that fucking bad. Now, I haven't really played a whole lot of it. I only played, like, the beginning, but, like, all the mechanics are pretty solid. It feels actually a lot better than I thought it would for, like, a first-person kind of game on the 3DS. It actually feels pretty good. I mean, I'm not even playing it on the new 3DS, I'm playing it on the old 3DS. I've heard that you can use the second little thumbstick to control, you know, more akin to how you would on a first-person shooter on a console, but I'm playing it on the old 3DS, and it's working pretty well. Now, from what I hear, the missions are pretty fun. I haven't really gotten a chance to really get into the game. I haven't had time, but it does feel good. And I've heard from a lot of people that the missions are fun, and it's all around, you know, a generally fun game. Now, my point of this video is not to sell you on this game in particular, because I personally have not had enough time with it to make a fair assessment. And as I've said time and time again, I'm not a reviewer. I don't consider myself a reviewer. I don't review games. I'm just a guy who plays games. I sometimes fucking make fun of them and shit, but when I make a video like this, I just get something in my head, there's something I need to say, and I want to say it about a particular topic. I don't, you know, review games. The point that I mainly wanted to express in this video is how stupid it is for you to judge a game when you haven't even fucking played it. Everyone was so quick to jump all over Metroid Prime Federation Force when they knew almost like nothing about it. Now, we all know that Metroid Prime Federation Force was not supposed to be a Metroid game in the first place, and I don't necessarily support tacking on names of established franchises to sell a game that would have been a new IP under another IP's name to get people to buy it. I think that's fucking dumb. And we've seen this happen with a few other franchises, like what happened to Banjo-Kazooie with Nuts and Bolts, what happened to Star Fox Adventures. That game wasn't even supposed to be a Star Fox game, and you know what? It probably would have been a more well-received game if it hadn't been a Star Fox game. The same thing happened with Nuts and Bolts. Nuts and Bolts is not a bad game in and of itself, but it's not a Banjo-Kazooie game. And that's exactly what happened with Star Fox. Star Fox Adventures, not necessarily a bad game. Not gonna say it's the best fucking game ever, but it's a pretty decent game, and the problem is that everybody was waiting for a Star Fox game, and they got that, and that's not what they wanted, so now this new game that might have been, you know, a new IP that could have thrived under its own name, now has a bad reputation because it got branded under a name that people were expecting something else, and they got this, and now they're pissed. Now, I'm not necessarily supporting this. I personally think it's a really stupid business practice, but the problem is that we are not giving games that could potentially be good a chance because we are already preconditioned to hate them. Now, I realize that I'm kind of rambling right now, but this is something that I've wanted to talk about for a while, but I haven't really been able to put it down in paper in a concise manner, so I'm just kind of telling you guys what's in my head. Now, I get why companies do this. There's a new game, they're not sure if it'll sell, so they're like, hey, we're gonna attach a successful IP's name onto this to try and sell it, and then people will buy it because of the name that's attached to it, and then bam, the game will be successful. Well, that's not how it fucking works. And I do think that this is a stupid practice that needs to never fucking happen again. Because all it really does is make fans of that IP less faithful in that IP because that's not what they were expecting. They're getting a game that they didn't necessarily want. But on the same token, I also think that we shouldn't judge a game because of that. You don't know what was poured into that game before it got another fucking name slapped on it. I mean, look at Star Fox Adventures. Even though that game wasn't the best fucking thing ever, it was supposed to be a new IP called Dinosaur Planet. Imagine what could have happened if that game had just been able to stand on its own 2 feet and people bought that game and they're like, oh, this is pretty good. Rare could have made a sequel to that was fucking better than the original one was supposed to be, but we never got a chance to see a Dinosaur Planet 2 because Dinosaur Planet came out as fucking Star Fox Adventures. So while I don't support companies doing this, slapping existing IPs onto new games or fucking whatever, I do think that we should make a fair assessment of new games completely devoid of what IP they're attached to. What I'm trying to say is this: Metroid Prime Federation Force could be the best fucking game you've ever played in your life, but chances are you're not even willing to give it a chance because it's not supposed to be a Metroid game. We were waiting for a good one. It's not Metroid. That's fucking dumb. I am a huge Metroid fan, and I am still willing to give this game a chance. Do you know why? Because who knows what this game was supposed to be like before they slapped Metroid's name on it. I want a new Metroid game, a real one, just as much as the next guy, but I'm not gonna condemn this game that wasn't even supposed to be a Metroid game in the first place just because blah blah blah, it has Metroid's name on it. It's not the end of the fucking world. At least they're showing some attention to the franchise. At least they have some ounce of faith in that IP to even put its name on anything. Because if Nintendo didn't honestly think Metroid would sell at all, they wouldn't have put Metroid's name on it. I guess my point here is just to say, don't judge a book by its cover. I know a lot of you guys are probably angry that this game came out as a Metroid game and it's totally not a fucking Metroid game, but maybe it's a game you'll like. Nintendo obviously must have trusted it enough to put one of their most classic IP's names on it. And before you judge a game without actually playing it or at least hearing some insight from somebody who has played it, just realize that you might actually be selling yourself short by not playing a game that could very well be your next favorite fucking game. I don't know, that's just what's clanking around in the old noggin. So, I don't know. If you want to check this game out, you should. It seems pretty cool. I'm probably gonna play it a lot more than I have already. I just haven't really had time to get around to it, but you guys should. It seems pretty fun. I've heard from my friends that it's a pretty fun game. So, yeah, thanks for listening to me ramble for a little bit. If you want to check some other videos out, there you go.